everybody, Low for Life here, bringing you guys a brand new deck profile, kind of. It's an update to one I did almost a month ago now. I think it was maybe a little bit before then. But vampires. So as much as I liked my old vampire build, it wasn't the best hype that it could be. And some of you guys gave me some really cool suggestions and ideas, and I've been tinkering around with it. And I came up with this build, and it's been working a heck of a lot better compared to my old one. It can spam out a lot better, it can churn out a lot more stuff, and it just results in bigger and better boards, and is honestly a much better deck than my old one. So let's get on to the deck profile. Yeah. Okay, so first and foremost, I got triple Scarlet Scourge. Scarlet Scourge is one of your kind of main playmakers. Whenever he's no more spell summon, you can target, you can pay 1,000 life points, and then target one vampire in your graveyard, special summon it. It's a hard once per turn effect, unfortunately, and then also, like all the new vampires, he has the effect where if he destroys something in battle, at the end of the battle phase, you can spell summon all monsters he destroyed in battle that turn. Oh yeah, and the monster that he summons can't attack, but it's no big deal, really. You just use it for fodder for other things. Really good card overall. Very, very key in like a lot of combos what this deck can do. Next up, we got the next combo maker, Shadow Vampire. Whenever Shadow Vampire is tribute summoned, you can spell summon any vampire from your deck, but however, only that monster can attack for the rest of the turn, which is really, really obnoxious. Also, Shadow Vampire can't be used for an Xyz summon except for a Dark Xyz monster. Not really that relevant. The big thing is that this guy's effect is not a once per turn, so if you do have a way to summon multiple times, well, tribute summon him multiple times, which is pretty easy to do in this deck, you can easily get a lot of advantage off of just summoning two of these guys. Generally speaking though, you don't want to summon the second one until main phase 2 so you can make some plays and still getting some damage, hopefully. Next up, and this is something that I was really contemplating in my old one, but I just knew I should have done it from the beginning. Triple Frowlin. So Frowlin, at face glance, you probably won't think is very good, but she is by far one of the best cards in this deck. Whenever an attack is declared, you can spell summon her from your hand. And whenever a vampire monster battles an opponent's monster, you can pay life points up to 3,000 to have your monster gain attack and defense equal to the amount you paid. And then also, of course, she has the Yugioh Guardian effect that all the new vampires do. So, really, really, really key card. Very, very powerful. She just can put herself on the field for free. You don't have to discard anything or anything. You don't have to pay life points to summon her. You just plop her on the field whenever a monster clears an attack. That can also be even when one of your opponent's monster clears an attack and is attacking you directly, so you can plop her on the field. Your opponent tries to run her over, you activate her effect, boosting her up to like at whatever amount you need to, prevent her from getting killed in battle. And then that's not a once per turn effect, so you can just keep pumping her up or your other monsters up and go for big damage with that. Very, very cool card, very, very key to a lot of the deck's plays, and is very, very good. Next up, we got triple Vampire Sorcerer. Vampire Sorcerer is mainly used for his engrave effect, where you can banish him from your graveyard to be able to let you tribute summon one vampire monster without tributes for the rest of the turn. You only get one summon, so if you got multiple shadow vampires and you have the card that lets you double summon, you don't get to, get one of them. You only get one for free. The other one still has to be actual tribute fodder summoned. He also has an effect where if he's destroyed by battle, or I believe card effect as well. Okay, if he's sent to your graveyard by your opponent's card, you get to add a vampire card from your deck to your hand. It's cool and all, but like his search effect does not trigger very much, and it's made even more redundant because we got Vampire Retainer and Vampire Familiar now. Retainer and Familiar do almost the exact same thing. Retainer and Familiar both have the effects where if they're in your graveyard, you can send one vampire card you control or in your hand to the graveyard, special summon them, pay 500 life points, and then Familiar lets you search out a vampire monster, except itself, and Retainer lets you search out a vampire spell or trap card. And then also they banish themselves when they leave the field. So really, really, really good cards overall. Very, very helpful, and not just the search part, but also for generating tribute fodder, link fodder, synchro fodder, whatever. Really, really good cards overall. Moving away from the vampire aspect of the deck, we got triple Mizuki. I was not playing Mizuki in the old build, and that was really stupid of me. Mizuki is, a central staple to pretty much any zombie deck out there. You banish him from your graveyard, target a zombie in your graveyard, special summon it. Kind of goes without saying why he's so good. Then we got triple Uni Zombie, another card I really should have been playing. The big thing was that in my old build I was playing so many cards that really I just didn't need in the deck, and these guys are just so good for making synchro plays. Now we can make Omega, now we can load up our graveyard with more stuff, and it's just a heck of a lot better. Also, I'm still playing one Red Baron because of the cheese factor with his effect to switch control of one of your monsters for your opponents. So not only can you now take like your opponent's Beauregard or something, but you can also give them a retainer or familiar and poke for big damage. Very, very obnoxious. One Vampire Lord because he's still kind of relevant sometimes. He can screw over your opponent's deck whenever he does damage by calling a monster, spell, or trap card, and your opponent has to send one of those cards from deck to grave. You kind of got to be careful about how you go about doing that, because nowadays everything seems to have a grave effect. So I generally always call spell cards unless I'm doing against Sky Strikers. In which case I usually call monsters just so they can get rid of the rest of the rays. Because Ray is a hard once per turn if I remember right. But anyway, so yeah, Lord's pretty cool. And then also one Grimson. I almost cut him entirely, but his protection effect is just too valuable. Basically, while Grimson's out on the field, if a vampire card, or sorry, cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can pay 1,000 life points for each of those cards that would be destroyed. And that's not a once per turn effect. That's anytime any monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can just pay 1,000 instead. And then of course he has the YgoAmino Guardian effect. Then on to the spells. The first big change is I dropped Domain to 2. Domain is really, really good, but it gets a bit cloggy at 3. So basically what Domain does is once per turn you can pay 500 life points for the rest of this turn. Even if this card leaves the field, you get an extra normal summon for a vampire monster. And then whenever a vampire you control does damage to your opponent, you gain life points equal to damage dealt. A really, really good card overall. Helps out with your plays, gets you going really, can help on brick hands where you would normally not be able to do anything. And then of course the life point gain is always nice, especially in a deck that pays a lot of life points. Then I'm playing 2 Desire, and honestly, I'm kind of even floating to the idea of dropping it to 1. Desire is really, really good, but it also can be a bit cloggy. Desire has 2 effects. The first effect is you target a vampire in a graveyard, send one monster you control to the graveyard, special summon that vampire, and then the other effect is you target one vampire you control, send one vampire from your deck with a different level. The vampire you targeted becomes that vampire's level. You can only activate 1 Desire per turn. Now Desire is really, really good in a sense because it offers level modulation as well as also getting stuff in the graveyard, and it's also a monster reborn, so it has dual utility, and that's really, really good. But also at the same time it can be a bit wonky, the cost to activate it where you gotta send something, or it just really, I like it, but at the same time, you don't want to see more than one of it, generally speaking, in your opening hand. Which maybe is just my luck, but I keep drawing multiples in my hand. Now, if I were to drop this down to 1, I would definitely bump Allure of Darkness to 3. So right now I'm playing 2 Allure of Darkness. You know, everything's dark in this deck. I believe so, at least. Everything barring Mizuki is dark. So Allure of Darkness is just really good for this deck. 2 Mind Control, something I still have yet to see very many people play in Vampires. So Mind Control, you know, you take control of one of your opponent's monsters, and hey, it's you know, you can't tribute it or attack with it, but you can still link with it, exceeds with it, so on and so forth. And the exceeds part is especially important because the new rank 6, whenever you use a monster controlled by your opponent initially, you can treat that monster as being a level 6 monster, so then you can go into your Dampier dude a bit easier. Very, very good card overall for the deck. I really, really like it. I would play Brain Control instead, but that relies on your opponent having something that can be normal summoned or set. 1 Monster Reborn, because Monster Reborn is really good. 1 Monarch Stormforth, just in case. 1 Fool's Burial to load up Grave. Onto the traps, 2 Vampires Domination. I dropped it down to 2 because 3 can also be a bit cloggy. It's a hard once per turn. Ever since Infernity Barrier, Konami's been scared of giving Infernity Barrier-esque cards, not the once per turn clause, which is a bit annoying, but I digress. You know, it just negates and destroys anything if you control a vampire card, and then you gain life points if that monster that you destroyed with this card's effect was, well, a monster. And then one Vampire Awakening. Another card you can probably drop if you really don't like it. Helps out in certain situations, gets you a free monster from your deck. Can even trigger Familiar and Retainer's effect during your opponent's turn, so you get another search, and then when they go to your graveyard at the end of the turn, you can use their effects during your turn to get another search. It has its combos, and I can see why some people wouldn't play it at all, but I still like it as a one-of. I know in my original build I was playing 3 of it, and that was just not necessary. 1 is probably a lot better if you're going to play it at all. And then I know like some people also recommended I play Zombie World. I want to test it out, but I don't have Zombie World, which is weird. I thought I had Zombie Worlds, but I don't. So if you want to test out Zombie World, that's something else you can do, because thanks to Vampire Sucker, it basically makes all of your tribute fodder, all your level 5 or higher vampires kaijus, which is hilarious. So moving on to the extra deck, we got triple Cypher and Lord Omega. We got the Uni Zombie plays we can do now, so that kind of goes without saying. You know, Cypher and Lord Omega's too good not to play. He's also the only synchro I do play. Next up, I dropped Dampier to 2. You don't really ever go into 3, and heck, you can probably even drop him to 1 if you wanted to. Dampier, he has 3 really good effects. Again, if you're using monsters here that were originally controlled by your opponent, you can treat them as level 6 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach Seized Materials, target 1 card your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard, and then if you do, you can detach another Seized Material to take control of that card if it was a monster, if I remember correctly. Yeah, special summon one of those monsters in defense position to your field. So really, really good. It has to be in defense, so you can't take control of a link, like, oh, you got rid of your opponent's, I don't know, Beauregard, and oh, no, you can't take it because it's not, you get to the link, you can't go in defense. That's annoying. His effect would be a lot better if it was a quick effect, though, I gotta say. One Crimson Knight Vampire Bram. I feel like Vampire Bram people just don't like for some reason, and I don't understand it. Vampire Bram has 2 really good effects. So first and foremost, you get detach and Seized Material, target 1 monster your opponent that's in your opponent's graveyard, spell summon it to your side of the field, and in defense position, so you can't take a link, which sucks. And then if he dies during the next standby phase, you can spell summon him in defense position. And that's what he does. If he dies, he comes back in defense position every standby phase. So that makes it really obnoxious for your opponent, and makes it to where he can just be a little bit easier to maintain field advantage with him. And then also the effect to steal your opponent's monster in graveyard is really helpful. I've taken my opponent's Ghost Ogre to make an Omega with one of my level 5s. I've taken my opponent's monsters to make Dampier. It's really, really, really good overall. And I don't get why people don't like Bram. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. And then for the final XCs, one number 24 Dragulus, the Vampiric Dragon. Fits with the theme, but is also a really cool boss monster. 2400 attack, 2800 defense. Once per turn during your player's turn, you can detach Seized Material from him. Target 1 monster, summon from the extract, book a moon it. And then if he's foot face up, you can you can send 1 card your opponent controls to the graveyard. I don't believe it targets though. If this face up card, you can special summon. If this card's face up, send 1 card on the field to the graveyard. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then also if he's face up and is removed from your field by your opponent's card effect, it can spell summon him, which is really, really annoying. So he's got 3 really good effects, and overall, I just really, really like him. On to the links, I played 2 Vampire Suckers. Kind of goes without saying, she's really, really good. Has a kind of sort of once per turn, darn, what was that spell card that's banned and will probably never come back. But basically, once per turn when a zombie is summoned from a graveyard, you can draw a card. If you want to tribute summon a vampire, you can tribute a zombie your opponent controls. And once per turn, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, spell summon it from their graveyard to their side of the field as a zombie monster. You generally don't use the effect to summon to your opponent's side of the field too much, unless you absolutely have to. Granted, that does trigger her draw effect, and then you can use the monster you just summoned as tribute fodder for one of your dudes, which is pretty cool. I like it a lot. She's a really good card overall, and it makes sense why she's going up in price. Next up, one Link Krivo, because I can play this now. It got reprinted in the starter deck, and it's really good in this deck. Familiar is a level 1, which is really good. One Nightmare Mermaid, just in case my opponent gives me an Ibly and I can just sack it off. Then 1 Nightmare Goblins, that's for the extra normal summons. 1 Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix for the popping of the monsters and the popping of the spells, and then 1 Unicorn for the removal of stuff with not destroying. So that's my updated vampires. What do you guys think? I've been having a lot of fun with this deck. It's a heck of a lot better than my old build. It's been doing a heck of a lot better. I can actually kind of put up a fight against Gogi Nightmare now instead of just kind of whimpering in a corner and wishing I didn't get extra linked. But that's just my experience. What do you guys think of vampires? Do you think that they'll ever be good? I think they need a bit more to really be relevant, but I still like them a lot as a fun rogue deck. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. If you have any ideas, recommendations, or concerns with this deck, please leave your comments down below. I may not always respond to your comments, but I do read them. And peace out. Have a great day.